All righty, so we're going to call the meeting to order at 4:33 p.m. Unfortunately, under the weather, so I was unable to travel to Mineola. So we're going to have to do, obviously have to do this meeting by Zoom. So we might as well get started. We'll start with the chair's report. After I come to my chair's report, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Brian to finish it up. I will be listening in. But I can't see the screens for who's asking questions and things of that nature. So not a lot on the agenda today. The meeting should go fairly quick. My chair's report, a new schedule will be going into effect on Monday, November 11th. The revised schedule will accommodate East River Tunnel work, repair work that Amtrak will be starting in the future. Every effort was made by the Long Island Railroad to minimize the effect on the ridership. And we will hear more about the schedule revisions and East River repair work later in the meeting. The Long Island Railroad is adding one more accessible station with the opening of an elevator at the Massapequa Park Station. A major station renovation is also underway in Babylon. September was a good month for ridership, with the Long Island Railroad accommodating approximately 6.7 million passenger trips, a post-pandemic record, which is approximately 88% of pre-pandemic levels. On-time performance was 96%, but as I've repeatedly stated, without timed connections in Jamaica, this statistic does not necessarily reflect the customer experience, but it does indicate the railroad is functioning as intended. The new program where customers can report problems with onboard restrooms by scanning a decal outside the toilet area is proving to be successful. The Long Island Railroad plans to install these decals on the entire fleet by the end of this year. The Long Island Railroad has added additional seating on the mezzanine level at Grand Central Madison in response to riders' needs. And closing it out, at the suggestion of Vice Chairman Larry Rubenstein, I requested that the Long Island Railroad install a ticket machine on the Western Concourse at Penn Station, and I have been told that it will be taken under advisement. Does anybody have any questions, or we could just save them for when Anna is on? Any questions, anybody?
This is Chris. I just want to say, Jerry, feel better.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Great report, Mr. Jerry.
Okay, so because we don't have a quorum or an in-person quorum, we're going to dispense with the approval of the agenda and meeting minutes and stuff of that nature. So now is Anna there?
Hey, I'm here. How are you doing?
All right, so Anna, we're going to turn it over to you at this point.
Sounds like a plan. And same. Hope you feel better. And
All
hopefully, in our next meeting, your next meeting, we can all meet in person.
I'd greatly. That would be wonderful.
Great.
Kara, can you monitor the board for any questions that they might have for Anna?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we will. We'll monitor the hands and everything for you.
All right, beautiful.
Well,
So
thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. My name is Anna Garcia. I am the new Assistant Director of Government and Community Relations. I think I have met a couple of you, but I work alongside Nick Fasano. I started back in September, and I'm so happy to be with you all this afternoon. So I was asked to answer a couple questions, and just to reiterate what Jerry was saying, these are important services, and we made sure to notify as much people online, as much people in time. So all the Long Island Railroad branches will have a new weekday schedule starting, as mentioned, Monday, November 11th. And we always encourage folks to check the updated schedules on our website. Through the train, or on our website, or through the Train Time app, which is my personal favorite. And of course, as mentioned, that these changes support the Amtrak's major rehabilitation project in the East River Tunnel, and which will require a closing of one of the tunnels into Penn Station. But thankfully, the opening of Grand Central Madison, the impact on our service is expected to be very minimal. So what we're expecting and anticipating the primary impact to service will be during the morning rush hour, and through some minor schedule changes that will be necessary throughout the day to support this and other infrastructure work. And I just wanted to flag some of the more urgent items that we wanted to make sure that folks were aware of. So from Hunters Point Avenue service, the 819 train from Jamaica to Hunters Point Avenue will no longer run, but the alternatives to leaving Jamaica will be the 804 and the 831. On the West Hempstead branch, the 7:53 a.m. train from West Hempstead will now run to Grand Central rather than Penn Station. And on the Greenport service, the midday train service between Ronkonkoma and Riverhead will resume. But however, buses will replace the trains between Riverhead Station and the Greenport Station from starting November 11th to the 24th. And those will run all day. On the Port Jefferson branch, the 426 train from Port Jefferson will now leave at 4:49 to improve reliability. Sorry, there was a tongue twister there. The 457 train from Ronkonkoma will now leave 4:47 p.m. and the 5:22 p.m. from Huntington will now leave at 5:10 p.m. And the last four that I wanted to flag as well, on the Long Beach branch, the 4:48 train from Island Park will now leave at 4:21, arriving at 8:12. And the 7:54 a.m. train from Long Beach will now depart at 7:41 a.m. It will no longer start at Kew Gardens, and it will now run to Grand Central, and it will arrive at 8:31 a.m. And the 8:02 train will now add a stop at Kew Gardens, but it will no longer stop at Rosedale, Laurelton, or Locust Manor. And the last flag I wanted to make sure that everyone was made aware of, the 5:54 p.m. train from Grand Central will no longer stop at Forest Hills. And these are the ones that we wanted to make sure people are aware, because obviously if you could hear the timing, there are ones that are like 20-minute difference or 10-minute difference. And we want to make sure all the other minor changes are only a few minutes off, but these are the ones that we wanted to make sure that, people are so used to their regular schedules that, they'll be like, oh, I remember this train always comes at 7:48 and not realizing the train left 20 minutes ago. So we know that, these are changes that, will affect everyone's commute. And, we want to make sure that everyone is aware. And these timetables are already now available online. And we want to make sure that people are able to, get commute on time. So that is that if anybody has any questions on that before I move on to my next item. Christopher? Chris?
I'm waiting till you're finished. This is Chris.
Oh, hey, Chris. Okay, no worries. Okay, so my next one is our ongoing open houses for the upcoming capital plan. So our next one, it's going to be in Queens, which is my hometown from Jamaica. I actually grew up going to this location. It's going to be at the Queens Public Library in Central Jamaica. It's going to be on the 13th, which is next Wednesday. It will be from 4 to 7 p.m. I actually grew up at this library, so I'm very excited to go there. I remember going there after school every day. So that's actually a fun one for mine. That's the only next upcoming event, open house that we have as of right now. So as soon as hopefully maybe in our next meeting, we'll have another one that can inform you all. But if not, I'll definitely make sure that I shoot that over to the folks, to everybody, so everyone's aware, can share it. So you can definitely see some familiar faces at these open houses. And of course, please share this with folks as well. And my last item was to talk about our ongoing accessibility projects that we have going on. And I'll give you just a brief update on those. As people may or may not already know, the Massapequa Park elevator is up and running, which is very exciting. Has been up and running for a while. Our friends over at St. Albans, we just found out that this weekend is the last weekend outage of this year. And the project is ongoing. It's in really good shape, and it's still on schedule. And for Babylon, so sorry, I just realized I can no longer read my own handwriting. For the one for Babylon, there is a street closure happening this weekend. I can actually just make sure. Sorry, guys. I think I just exited that out by mistake. Okay, so we actually been really excited to announce that the team, that our project team has made really great progress. And in terms, as right now, we're in the ending of our demo operations, and they've been going from last weekend, and we're hoping this weekend be the one to finish that demo activities, which I know that a lot of folks that live in the Babylon Village have been, the timing of the demolition has been overnight on the weekends. But if all goes well, hopefully this is our last weekend demolition, And, work will still obviously be continuing, for the next couple weeks. But, we were hoping that that'll be the biggest chunk of this phase until next year when we end on the east end of the platform. And I think that's it. And of course, just to reiterate, that has been mentioned before in other meeting before I've joined, the Forest Hills and Hollis Station ADA accessibility projects is still on a pause just due to funding. So we're hoping and anticipating that our capital plan will be fully funded so we can just get these projects up and running, because we're really excited to bring those new and updated infrastructure over to these two stations. And I think those are my biggest updates. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Anna?
Chris, I think you were first.
Thank you, Carl. Hi, Anna.
Hey,
Anna, there is some concern that a lot of people have brought to my attention, and I did tell them to put it into the MTA, the MTA app complaint. A lot of people understand with all the construction going through at Penn, but is there possibly we can divert some trains to Atlantic Terminal also? Because some people are saying that lately, sometimes if those constructions go in, there is sometimes that they want to cancel the train. I don't think it's maybe safe, but I think if it's possible, we can send a couple of trains during rush hour to Atlantic Terminal, because ridership levels has gone up. There was like one time that there was one train that was Atlantic was extremely crowded. And I'm not complaining, I'm saying that's glad, but I just think we need to really look at these numbers as well. And I'm very pleased to see Maxapequa Park. I know there was supposed to be a press conference, it was postponed. I know they're supposed to be rescheduling it. I'm just glad to see more accessibility going into this one. Thank you.
all right. Thanks, Chris. And are people complaining during peak hours, like during the week, or is this just a general thought that folks have?
I'm saying it both, but they're actually a general concern as well. There are general complaints that I think that went to the MCA. I have been telling everyone to use that, please, because people don't, if they want to take it seriously, as I said to everyone, I think, Carl, you agree on saying that they need to better. And Jack, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. They really need to take it seriously, putting these complaints. I'm sorry, Brian, because everyone's screaming in my other ear, so trying to raise my voice. I apologize. It's just that, thank you, sir. It's just that the customers, don't want to get stuck when there's something goes wrong at Penn, and with all the construction, it's going to cause problems. People want to just, get to where they have to go. And Atlantic is also a little easier because then you got the 2 and the 3 and the other trains there as well.
Absolutely. No, that's a great note. I'll definitely make sure to, with the opening of Grand Central, I know that there's a couple of routes that we have changed, and it's just a work in progress and trying to see what works best for folks. So we're still tweaking that. And I did want to flag that this weekend there's actually no trains to Atlantic Terminal from the 8th, which is tomorrow, into the 11th. So Monday morning at 4 a.m. So we're actually letting folks because we do have an ongoing cross honoring right now. So it's, as you mentioned, Chris, it's at Penn, 34th Penn, 34th Herald Square, Atlantic Terminal, Barclays. You can catch the Fulton stop on the G in Brooklyn, Lafayette Avenue, Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn, Broadway Junction. Because the J trains are not running to Jamaica, and the C trains are not running, and then the A trains are not running along 6th Avenue in Manhattan. So right now, unfortunately, Atlantic Terminal. Thank you. There's no access at Atlantic Terminal, so we just want to make sure, folks. But Chris, thank you so much for flagging that. I'll definitely share that around.
Yeah, and just to let you know, Anna, it was information that did say accessible reroute. If you're in Atlantic, they're instructing everyone to please use the 2 and the 3 train. Accessibility reroute is on the 2 and 3. Chris P has already notified me as well. And I don't know if Carl or Jack, if you got the email. If you didn't, please let me know. I'll forward it to you. Because he did say he was supposed to email it to you. I don't know. But the accessible reroute is customers should be using the 2 and the 3 to Penn Station.
Oh. Thanks, Chris, for that.
Thank you.
No problem. I got you guys. Always got your back.
Really, thank you. Appreciate that.
Next up is Maddie.
Thank you, Kara. Welcome aboard, Anna. First of all, it's great to have you. You said that Massapequa Park has now opened, making the Babylon branch now 100% accessible, which is good. I know we're going to have a press conference soon with the chairman and president, and also But I also like to thank your Mayor Daniel Pearl as well for their steadfast leadership. So it's great to have you. Welcome aboard. Thank you, Kara.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you, Maddie. Adam, you're up next.
Sorry, Zoom trouble. My question was, first of all, I wanted to add to what Chris said about terminating trains, but instead you can send to Atlantic, that Hunters Point and LIC would also be an alternative to canceling trains. I guess my thing is, it seems almost everything with LIRR is in very broad strokes. Either all the trains go with the Grand Central split. I know on the weekends with the main line, instead of having half and half, which people complained about, they went to all the trains going to Penn. They tried the same thing last November on the Port Washington branch, ignoring a petition of over 1,000 people. I was going somewhere with that, sorry. I guess my concern is that it doesn't seem there's any relationship between feedback that customers give, conditions that customers experience, and the changes that have been made. Because Anna mentioned that they're still tweaking and trying to find things that work for customers. I also have not received one answer on any of the social media platforms for 4 or 5 months, even when I'm trying to report an emergency condition on the train. So I wanted to know what is going into that tweaking, or what is being looked at, because things are identical to February 27th, 2023. I'm on the Port Washington branch, and nothing has changed or gotten better, and it seems we've been totally forgotten about. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I could definitely follow up with folks to see, the ongoing correspondence and see, maybe it's possible folks are working on those answers, but I'll follow up with folks on that correspondence and try to get back to you. Okay, Adam?
Even something as simple as I'll send a message, are they adding a stop to the next train because the train was canceled? And I did that through the Train Time app. And 3 months later, it still says not seen yet. And that's the case of every message I send.
Okay, I understand. And nice to meet you, Adam, as well. I'll definitely, I'll speak to folks on the customer service and to see, what's the correspondence, I just started, and your concerns as well, and we'll try to get an answer for you, okay?
Should wait for you or someone to reach out to me then?
Yeah. I'll see if I can just find. Thank you for sending the information in the chat as well. Thank you.
That wasn't me.
Oh, that was Chris. Sorry, I got you and Chris's name confused for a second. Sorry.
All right, you have my contact information, I guess. I don't.
Yeah. If you wanna put it in the chat so I can write that down. Yeah.
Thank.
All right, any other questions for Anna? Okay, Anna, I got one. Monday's regular schedule, right?
Yeah. From what I know, yes, but I can definitely I don't want to give you any wrong information. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, because I know we ran a regular schedule on election day, but then I know Metro North, they ran a modified schedule on election day, so.
From what I know, yes, I have not received any information saying otherwise, but I'll definitely get back to you.
Greatly appreciated. All righty, any other questions for Anna before we let her go?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for everyone's time. This it's a great opportunity to meet folks, and I've met maybe like 2-3 folks in person. So an opportunity to definitely next time we have this meeting in person, I'd definitely like to meet folks in person. We can go from there.
Definitely, and that had every intention, but I just can't travel. I need to be close to facilities, so.
No, absolutely. No, you should definitely be your number one priority should definitely be taking care of yourself. But thank you for being here. And, in case any questions, Jerry knows how to find me, feel free. And then if anything, we'll see each other soon, either at the open house in Queens or an upcoming open house. But if not, I hope everybody have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Brian, did you want to take over the Associate Director Staff Report?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, so as I mentioned at the top, Lisa's at a conference right now, so is unable to join us today. So you get the displeasure of listening to me instead. Just want to start by, saying, with the election on Tuesday, just how pivotal I think the next 5 months are going to be for the MTA overall. Obviously, the first Trump administration was not a particularly great time for transit and the MTA more broadly, and a number of the mega projects that were happening throughout the New York City region. And we put out a statement yesterday, just calling on the governor to, which I just popped in the chat, calling on the governor to please unpause congestion pricing and let the project move forward. Not only do we have the $16.5 billion hole in the current capital plan that needs to be filled by either starting that program or finding an alternative, but we have approximately $33 billion in the next capital plan that needs to be funded by the state legislature early this coming year. So a lot of work to do. The future of the MTA is on the brink, I guess, and something that we're all going to need to rally behind to make sure that we have the funding available just to keep the system in a state of good repair. One of the things that we worked on recently was looking at. We put out a report just the other day, last week, just before the board meeting, on what it would mean to exempt municipal workers from the congestion pricing program. We did this primarily because the governor, and I'll pop it in the chat here as well, the governor floated this idea and a few other elected officials have as well. It turned out our colleagues at Regional Plan Association were also working on this, so we decided to do a joint report with them. And we wanted to just find out, what would the actual cost be of exempting municipal workers? How much would other people have to pay? And we found, I think, some pretty interesting things. Essentially, exempting the workers would result in a loss of 140 million, which is 14% of the billion that was supposed to be raised. The $15 base toll would have to be raised by $2.45 to $17.45 to make up the loss and meet the revenue target. And we found that municipal workers that drive on average make more than double the median income of the New York labor force, and 75% of municipal workers take transit. And there's a huge contribution to greenhouse gas emissions if you exempt workers, nearly 49,000 daily vehicle trips. So we thought this put an interesting point on one of the main things that the governor's floated as changing to the congestion pricing program moving forward. Our whole goal is to get it moving as quickly as possible, and the more closely it hews to the existing plan, the better off it will be in terms of getting it done quickly. And not having to go through any sort of reevaluation process or other sort of approvals that might have to be done. So that's the municipal worker report. Otherwise, we've been working, Jack, most particularly on putting together what we call our Rider First Fair agenda, which will kind of guide our legislative priorities for this coming legislative cycle. We are planning to put out a report fairly soon that lists our key recommendations in more detail. It builds a lot on the Omnivate report that Kara wrote last year, and everything that we put out last year as part of our Fairs Act proposal is continuing in this, but we've expanded our reach a little bit in a number of other ways that we think are strategic and helpful. The provisions that impact Long Island Railroad are improving the city ticket by creating a weekly option, reduced fare transfers to transit, and an intracity combo ticket to Metro North, which is something that if you're taking the Long Island Railroad regularly, you already have access to. Closing the AM peak loophole for seniors, Medicare eligible riders and riders with disability, which was part of the Fares Act last year. Expanding fair fares to the railroads within NYC, which is something that we think the outer borough transit account has some money for. And also raising the eligibility criteria for that to 200% of poverty. It's going to be raised this coming month to 145% from 120, where it currently is, but we'd like to see it be raised to 200 so that, riders with who are making minimum wage, for example, are actually able to take part in the program. So we've been working pretty closely with Speaker Adams on the Fair Fares work, and also some of our partners at Riders Alliance and the Community Service Society as well. So we're going to be doing a rally next week, a week from today, actually, the 14th, at the steps of City Hall to talk about getting it up to 200% and some of the other changes that are happening.
Now, Brian, that poverty rate, that's a national poverty rate, right? That we're talking about?
Yeah. So, given the cost of living in New York City, it feels even more restrictive. I mean,
that was the point I was trying to make. It's it's a lot more difficult for people to get by in New York City than it would be out in, Memphis, Tennessee, or some Hot Springs, Arkansas, or someplace like that. So
yeah. And 200% is sort of the standard for all the other major transit agencies around the country. Almost all of them have it at 200%. Some are even higher, like Los Angeles. So, we think there's there's at least that much room to be more generous, and it should open up the program to about another 400,000 New York City residents. So, as far as equity initiatives, it's number one on our list of things that needs to improve.
Okay, that's great. Okay.
One other quick thing, and then I'll hand it over to Karen Jack. Lisa just wanted to mention that she's working hard on getting new members for Suffolk County in particular. She's been having some conversations with staff members at the county level, and Mark Hurst has offered to be helpful, and some others. So we're working on that. Hope to get that moving forward pretty soon. And also, that we're going to continue to push on the LIRRCC bill that will reduce the number of names required to fill a vacancy. It passed the Senate last year, and we are hoping that it will get through the Assembly as well this year and finally move forward, which should help as well.
Okay. The meeting that Lisa's at, is that Somos? Is she in Puerto Rico?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's a biggie. I think MTA has a bunch of people down there as well, and
yep. Yeah, MTA does. A lot of our partner organizations are down there as well. So, we're trying to push wherever we can.
No, and for people who are wondering, why we would go down there, it's a chance for like our people to talk informally directly to these elected officials without the gatekeepers, because the gatekeepers aren't all going on this Puerto Rican trip. So it works out pretty well, and you never know what kind of connections you can make. And I know Lisa works the room as well as anybody, so
yeah,
be interested to see what she comes back with.
She's been sending us updates as she goes around, and we've been following up with staffers as necessary. So yeah, it seems like it's been productive so far. A couple days to go.
All righty. Any questions for Brian?
I think we have a few. I'm just going to turn it over to Jack and Kara real quick for social media update and any other things.
Do all staff questions in one shot. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes. So thank you, Brian. That was great. I'm going to be giving the social media and communications update for this month. Just a couple of main issues that we've noticed, mostly through social media, that have been at the top of riders' minds. One was raised by Anna in her update, but the fact that there will be no Long Island Railroad service on the Brooklyn line between Atlantic Terminal and Jamaica this weekend has raised some concerns, particularly because there will be no J train service past Crescent Street. And so just raises the concern that maybe there should be better service outage planning between the Long Island Railroad and the subways department. So that's one thing. Another one that we've seen over the last few months, both on the railroad, on Long Island Railroad and Metro North, is just overcrowding, particularly during rush hour trains. And on the railroad, that's mostly on Ronkonkoma and Babylon trains. So there have been some issues with some 8-car Babylon trains rather than 10-car trains. Next, there's been pretty consistent complaints about older train cars running on the Long Island Railroad. I'm sure everyone here is no stranger to that. And luckily, the next capital plan should address some of those issues, but that definitely speaks to the need for funding for that issue so that we're able to get newer train cars to replace those old dinosaur M3s. And lastly, a big issue is some calls for more direct and express trains leaving from and going to Grand Central Madison from various trains. It seems like there was a push to bring a lot of trains back to Penn Station, and now there is sort of a counter push to fill in some of the gaps that were then created with Grand Central Madison service. So those are some of the big issues, and can open it up to questions for both me and Brian.
Chris?
Yes, Cara, I'm glad you're mentioning the Atlantic branch. What they've been doing right now, just so everyone know that the accessible reroute, for example, if you're at Marcy or Flushing, they're telling everyone to take a Manhattan-bound J train into Fulton Street. From Fulton Street, they have to transfer for the not the A, but the 2 and 3 to Penn Station. That's the accessible reroute they're supposed to be doing on that as well. The other thing is, and I agree with Cara what you're saying also, they need to work on communication because that's too many service disruptions, and it's going to be hurting the other train lines. The thing is I understand that track work has to be done, but the J train track work should be canceled because the J should be helping out the LIR and helping out to get people into Queens, because with the E feeling extremely, heavy, extreme heavy ridership, the A down, the A is going on a different line, the C is not going to be running. It's going to cause more delays on the E, and I know I'm going to feel it. I'm going to hear it and feel it. The other thing I was going to ask Brian on your agenda, and I just want to add, if you can please mention accessibility in all different categories, because not just elevators. When I mention accessibility, I'm talking about updating the lighting, the certain devices that MTA Accessibility has been trying to do. Like Long Island Railroad has the special button to let the crew know they're an accessible customer. Person who can't see, who is blind, deaf. There is pilots going on, but the officials need to hear that there are pilots going around. As the outreach officer for ACTA, we need to make sure that some of these other tools are going in for the elected persons are aware there are other tools, other amendments of accessibility. Elevator is not just one of them, not just a ramp, but additional, brailles and stuff on the floor and the walls. We need to make sure those are there on there as well. And that's something that we need to let the officials know from state and federal. Yes, and sometimes the city as well, because they need to realize that we have to move forward, not backwards as well. Thank you.
Hear you loud and clear, Chris. That's thanks for the reminder. I appreciate it.
Oh no, I'm always a team player. I just want to make that clear for the record. And I'm just going to say this: we all may agree and disagree, but guess what? Our mission is still. That's why I have this sign says, "The future rides with us." And I still want to make sure I wear the sticker. I know Jason does it too. But we just need to work together, and we need to really educate the elected officials and some of the communities as well out there. Thank you.
Yep, that's exactly why I think these next few months are really going to determine what the future looks like and how much work we'll actually be able to do.
Agreed.
I think Maddie was up next.
Yeah, Brian. I do agree with your report. I mean, if depending on what the upcoming second Trump administration could do, I know how it was with him and with Secretary Elaine Chao on transportation issues. You do mention, though, if these issues are not you're saying they may have to raise the congested price from 15 to 1740?
Just if the governor were to decide to exempt municipal workers, which is the narrow
Municipal
focus
workers.
of
Yeah, and I
report.
agree. No, transportation funding is a bipartisan issue. It's not a partisan issue. You had Mark Herbst, who was a former Republican member of the New York State Assembly, vote yes on congested pricing, which goes to show you that public transportation is a bipartisan issue.
It is, but how it's funded has changed a lot depending on who's been in the White House, and that's what.
Agreed. And accessibility, because that's why I call Christmas or accessibility for a reason.
Fair enough. Thanks, Maddie. Jason?
Hey, Brian. Piggybacking from what Larry mentioned, as a former resident of Puerto Rico for 21 years, Bernie, Puerto Rico is just coming out from their own elections, having the Somos conference, because the elected officials from New York State could take this unique opportunity to meet with local officials from down there who were recently in the summer in both the RNC and DNC conferences and form an alliance. Because here's why. Puerto Rico has a mass transit system called the urban train that is that all stations locally are accessible. That's been functional since 2005. They have a bus system that's operated by First Transit and the Metropolitan Bus Authority. And elected officials from New York should ride the system, how the system is functioning, and explore ideas how could we, as New Yorkers, think outside the box. Because hearing our own governor saying by the end of the year, she could have an idea of way of fund our mass transit system, I think it will be too little, too late. And then on January 20th, the new administration will come in. So something has to be done while this conference is going on. And General Lieber is down there having these conversations, which is a good thing. And I know that Lisa's down there, which right now is 6:11 p.m. So I'm hoping that all of these conversations bring us a good sign.
Yeah. So do we. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that, Jason. I'm not sure if Lisa's riding the rails down there, but I'll have to ping her about that. And make sure she does. Cool. Adam.
Sorry, Zoom updated today, and it's tough getting used to it. My first question was for Brian about the committees, the Nassau, sorry, not the committees, the Nassau and Suffolk representatives. Are you able to say how many each county, Nassau and Suffolk, get are allotted, and how many we have at the moment?
It's a good question. Yes, we have those, but I don't have them in front of
Let me pull that up. I know we do have quite a few vacancies, mostly with Nassau County right now.
County, we're allowed 5 in Nassau and 5 in Suffolk. Right now, I think we're looking at three vacancies in each.
3. So we have 2 out of 5 filled approximately in each.
Right, and then we also get 1 from Brooklyn, and we get 1 from Queens, and there's no representation in either of those 2 boroughs.
Has anyone reached out to the county executives about advertising to their constituents to apply for this?
We've been reaching out to the county executives on a regular basis. Suffolk, they just made a change to Ed Romaine. So we're hopeful that his administration will be a little more helpful than the last administration. Bruce Blakeman's administration, it is tough to get to talk to anybody, never mind him, talk to even his aides. It's brutal.
I've heard this from non-MTA sources. That's absolutely true. And because any resident who wants to be a member, it has to go through those executives, is my understanding.
Right. The recommendations come from the county executives.
Okay. And then for Ms. Girl's report, she mentioned the observations on social media that the PCAC has noticed. Is anything done with those observations? Any recommendations or comments made, or are they just tracked?
They're tracked, and we forward this information to, like, Anna, or her predecessor was Hector Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
What they do with it, we try to follow up, but it's basically, we'll take it under advisement. Sometimes we get things done with them. Sometimes they can't for various reasons, or sometimes they just don't think it's enough of an issue to address. All we can do is advise. That's our position, and we take the feedback that we get, and we forward it on.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Anyone else?
Excuse me, Brian, this is Chris. Sorry to interrupt, but just to make this very clear, just to be clear, because there is a borough, since I am also on the Transit Riders Council for Brooklyn, because somebody put it on the chat. I don't know if it went on to everyone, but just to be clear, I'm the TRC, not LIR Community Council representative. Just want to be very clear on that.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're...
All righty. I don't think we have any old business to bring up. I don't see any new business unless somebody has something for us. So going once, going twice on old or new business.
Good night.
All right. Seeing none, we...
Adam, you had something you wanted to bring up?
Yes. And it's not something necessary for today, but I wanted to bring it up under new business.
Okay.
I know the bylaws of the LIRCC is that you don't meet during the months the PCAC meets. And obviously, given the communications issues that I've mentioned today and at prior meetings, and this is one of the few ways to at least find anything out about what's going on with MTAs, these meetings. I wanted to ask if the committee would consider maybe voting at a future meeting about adding LIRCC meetings during the PCAC months, even a Zoom only or non-official, since I know it's time consuming. But given the changes we've been through the last couple of years, and despite the reports the MTA gives how bad most people consider things to be, that if at least a vote could be taken at a future meeting about that rule of skipping the PCAC months. Thank you.
Something we can consider. All righty. Anything else? Going once, going twice. All right, and we will adjourn our meeting at 5:16 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
And feel better, Jerry.
I really.
Jerry.
That's why you don't see me on the screen, because I'm.
Are we done? Because we usually do old and new business first.
We just did, Maddie. Did you have something?
But yeah, let me add to that before we adjourn. Thank you for a great 2024 with the Long Island Commuter Council meeting. I look forward to a great 2025, but we still have a full one in December, and then a Transit Riders Council meeting on the 19th. So with that, everybody have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. I'll see you next week for the Metro North Commuter Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Feel better, Jerry.
Thanks. Thank you, Kara. Appreciate
Feel better.
it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.